Hello, Dental team listeners. This is Kiera. And today, you guys, are you struggling to onboard a new associate without team tension? I know that this can be a tricky problem that a lot of our offices faces. And so these 3 steps will make the process smooth and successful. Honestly, onboarding an associate is such a critical piece. You're bringing on this new doctor. They already love you. They already know our existing team. And now we're bringing someone new in that's going to help us help serve more patients. It's going to help our team be able to get those hygiene checks on time. It's going to be able to help us expand our clinical suite. So whatever the reason for onboarding an associate, it oftentimes comes down to that team buy-in, not having the team tension, getting the patient retention. And so the goal is today, I'm going to walk you through really 3 simple steps for you to be able to onboard this associate with ease and success. I am Kiera Dent. Dental A Team was created to really help give you guys wisdom and knowledge out in the field, to have a trusted expert, someone who's been there, done that successfully multiple times. Honest to goodness, our consultants are incredible. They really have real life experience. Every consultant on the Dental A Team has to have real life experience in the practice, clinically and front office. They've had to grow multiple practices exponentially. They've had to work through these kinks. So when we give you tips and advice, it's not because we're just here talking about theories and what we hope works. It's because we've been there, done that successfully. Honestly, onboarding an associate is going to affect your long-term harmony. This is where it's going to be amazing for your team with harmony, but also productivity. And so today is going to be short, actionable episode. And honestly, you guys are going to want to wait till the end because I walk you through the 3 steps. And then at the very end, I'm going to wrap it up for you of exactly how you can do this with simplicity. So step 1 is you need to actually find an associate who fits your clinical and cultural model. This is really paramount because a lot of times we just want an associate. We just think, let's bring someone in. But what we forget is these patients have been coming to us as a clinician, as a practice, as a culture, and that's what we've actually built. So there's a lot about branding in other companies. Well, in your dental practice, you have to realize you as the dentist, you as your clinical skill set has actually been built to be able to be a culture that your patients are accustomed to. So it's crazy because we just think we just need to hire an associate. No, actually looking to see, are they clinically the same as you or adding to your skill set? And also, do they fit your cultural model? It's wild because if you'll just take the time to find this person who fits, not being desperate, but actually using the time to find them is really going to help. Now, people ask me, Kiera, where actually can I go to find these associates? Because it can be tricky. And what I say is, let's start talking within the community. Talk to the dental colleges that are around you. Talk to your Henry Schein rep or your Patterson rep. Start talking to different offices because they might know someone. Get to the country club. A lot of deals have been made on golf courses that I've heard. Go to yoga studios, different places where people will be, and start talking and networking and letting them know who you're looking for. Also, let your team know, hey, we're looking for this. This is who we're looking for. Do you know anybody? Because your team can really be an advocate for you. In addition to that, I like to build pipelines. So if you know family members that are going to dental college, or you have friends, but somehow getting really intertwined into that dental college around you, in addition to being able to work with residencies in your practices that way, that's going to help you actually exponentially become stronger to get this pipeline of people there. So really looking for someone who fits your clinical and cultural model is going to help you exponentially because they're going to subscribe to the models like you do. They're going to act like you do. They're going to have the feel of it. And really, like I said, this is all about your brand. And so it's interesting because I've actually seen, there was an office that I consulted, and what happened with them is they brought on an associate. They thought that they were great. They had the clinical skill set that they needed, but culturally they weren't aligned. And the hygiene team started to get frustrated because this doctor was actually not following protocol within the practice. So whenever the 2 different doctors came in, the hygienists were trying to adapt to each different doctor. The exams weren't consistent. The treatment planning wasn't consistent. And yes, there will be varying shades of this, but really making sure that in the interviewing process, this associate aligns is actually going to prevent that team tension in the future. So truly, before you hire, clarify what your core values are of your practice and the clinical expectations that you have before you even go out to hire. Now, if you already have someone, that's okay. There's still things that we can do, but really making sure that they're like almost this little perfect outline of what you're looking for. Because just like when we want to go buy a car, when we say, I want to buy this G-Wagon, or I want to buy this Toyota Corolla, or I want to buy this Tesla, what happens is we start to see that car everywhere. Well, same thing's going to actually happen with your associates. When you know exactly what you're crystal clear on, go for it. That's going to help you actually sift through and find the person that's going to work great for your practice. Step number 2 is going to be once we get our associate, we know that they're going to be great. We need to actually have a team meeting and buy-in, letting our team actually ask the questions, because what happens is a lot of times the team tension just comes from fear. It's not that they don't want to onboard our associate. It's not that they don't want our practice to be successful. It's just fear. It's the, what about this? What about that? What about my patients? And so what's going to happen is when we have an effective meeting with our team, we're going to introduce the associate and their strengths, making sure we highlight, why did we bring this person in specifically? What is it about them? Don't forget, this is about the branding, making sure that they're branded, making sure that they fit our brand of the company. And then we open up the floor of team questions and letting the team, like, what are your concerns? What do you think patients will feel? Because the more the team can air this out, the more we're going to be able to find solutions. And what I found is, let's address them in person in our meeting, but also have your office manager or a team member actually take notes to where there's verbiage in their scripting, because what we hear is not actually what we retain. And so just giving your team the tips and the tools of, amazing, this is how Dr. Sarah is going to do a great job on our clinical experts, or what's going to happen if they have redo treatment. What do we do then? And so that's really going to be able to help your team feel confident, because now they've got the what happens when, and here's the solution. And if you write that up, it's very simple. This will help long term. And also, we really want to boost why this associate's going to be great for the practice. Now, a question that you could also ask to follow up on this is, what qualities do you think would help our new associate succeed here? Because these are also going to be things of, what can we do to make sure this associate does great here? How do you think we need to behave? What do you think the things we need to do are going to be? This way, this associate is truly successful and set up for success within our practice. And what I found is, when the team is bought in and they're bought into the associate, they're excited about the associate, they've had their questions answered, that team rallies around this associate. That team is super excited to recommend this associate for treatment. They're excited to recommend this associate for other patients in the practice. And something that really gets squirrely with teams is, who's going to see the new patients? Who does the hygiene exams? What can this doctor do? And as a team member myself, I'm always looking at their clinical suite. And so making sure that that team knows, perfect, we're going to onboard them this way. We're going to actually check their work with x-rays post-treatment. It's okay. We do this for the first 3 months. That way we don't have to do redos. Me and the doctor are actually going to be working together. So the doctor and the associate will work together on monthly calibration meetings, weekly calibration meetings. They're also going to calibrate with the hygiene team, and really truly setting these in your schedules from the get-go will honestly help you onboard this associate with success. So what I like to do is the call to action on step 2 would be, schedule a team meeting before the associate's first day and set the stage for success. I usually like it to be a week or 2 before. We type up that protocol for them. They know what's going to go on. They're able to meet this associate. They're able to get excited for the associate. And I also prep the associate, come in and be a human. They want to see your fun side. They want to see your clinical side. So if you can also show examples of caseworks that associate's done in the past, that also can really give the team buy-in for this as well. And then step 3 of this process is going to be onboarding this associate successfully with daily, weekly, and monthly check-ins with consistent team and doctor feedback. Now, I know this feels weird, and a lot of doctors get funny because but they're a doctor and I'm a doctor and I don't ever want to undermine them. And what I want to recommend and really emphasize for you is, you are the expert in your practice. That doctor is an incredible dentist. That's why you're hiring them, but they don't know how to be an incredible dentist in your practice with your team in the ways that you guys have set it up, of the culture of your practice. So we're not here to tell them how to do dentistry. Maybe there's a few things that we do need to correct or to change or to calibrate on, but the bulk is, how do we do it within our practice? And so there's onboarding checklists that we really love to do of how they can shadow. I really love to dovetail. So that means the doctor watches one procedure and then you watch one procedure. And I know this sounds annoying, because usually when we want to hire an associate, we want them yesterday and we want to just fill their schedule. But I say, if we slow down to speed up at the beginning, this is actually going to help you be very successful with your associate, be very successful with their onboarding, and catch the issues quickly and give the honest feedback before it becomes harder to give the feedback. The longer we go without giving that associate feedback, the harder it will be for them later on to take that. So it's giving the shadowing, maybe dovetailing. I use the same dovetail where it's one appointment, then the next appointment. We go back and forth and we watch each other, have them hear you do exams. You hear them do exams. This allows you to calibrate very quickly. And I know it feels annoying, but I promise you, if you'll do this, that doctor will be able to produce for you so much faster than you think they'll be able to. So then from there, what we're going to do is we do a weekly where we actually calibrate with them, and doctors doctors, I strongly recommend you put this in your schedule. We calibrate with them. We pull up x-rays, just like going back to dental school. What's the FMX? What do you see in this x-ray? What do I see? We don't actually talk about it out loud, but we write it down and then compare notes. We calibrate with our hygiene team. And if you have a really calibrated hygiene team, they should be able to tee up the treatment for the doctor. And then the doctor's then really just going to have to come in and swing and make it happen. But that doctor might see things differently. And so really, what do we do if we see things differently? How do we calibrate our hygiene team? I recommend this takes about 3 months of being very intentional with it, meeting every week, meeting monthly, and giving the feedback. And doing true formal check-ins for both the associate and the team. Asking the team, how are they doing? Asking your hygiene team how they're doing. Giving the feedback of the positives and the areas to improve early on is going to fix that. Like I said, I'm very big when you onboard to make sure you're taking x-rays pre and post treatment. I know it sounds funny, but you really can get a lot further ahead if you're willing to take these quick steps. So having a really structured check-in will help. And like I said, I have it in office. And what was funny about them was it wasn't even funny. It was just really truly, it was sad because they had this amazing associate. They brought them in. They didn't want to check the work. They didn't want to do the onboarding. They were like, they're just an amazing clinician. Let's go. Well, 3-4 months in, they started seeing a lot of redos and a lot of patient sensitivity and a lot of patient complaints. So they started looking at the x-rays. They had a lead assistant that sat with that doctor and started realizing there were open margins. Well, now it comes to the spot of they've been working with us for 4 months. We have all these patient treatments that's been done. We know we've got 4 months of not as great ideal dentistry. What do we do now? They ended up having to terminate that doctor, and it was about 8 months of redo dentistry that they had to do. And I thought, we could have swallowed our egos. We could have swallowed our pride. We could have been here. We're here to help you. And let's fix these problems and issues before they become big issues. That's a much easier conversation to have than one after they've been in the practice for 4 months. It was awful for this practice. It was hard. And they have committed that every time they now bring on an associate, they always do the onboarding. They always do the calibrations. They always take the x-rays. And also another tip is adding a lead assistant with that associate as soon as they start really sets them up for success, because that assistant can see a lot of things that maybe we don't see otherwise when we're not in the operatory with them. So really having that, and I say, map out your 30, 60, 90-day plan. What are you doing daily? What are we doing weekly? How do we make sure that they know how we treatment plan a crown? How do we treatment plan a root canal? How do we treatment plan and talk about implants? If they don't do this type of treatment, who do they refer, with air quotes, in our practice, is really going to set this associate up for success. So as a quick recap of how we onboard an associate effectively without team tension and amazing team buy-in is, number one, we want to make sure that we're hiring an associate that has our clinical and culture skill set. That's number one. Make sure we've got the DNA right of the correct person, because that's going to help us exponentially. Number two is have a team meeting where we're able to actually talk through, what does this associate need to be successful? What are our questions? And we write it up of a protocol for the team to follow. What do we say to patients? How do we introduce? Where do the new patients go, etc.? And then step 3 is going to actually 100% onboard this associate correctly with check-ins, calibration, and consistent feedback 30, 60, 90 days, and possibly even beyond. And when you do this, this is going to be an incredible way for you to onboard them, have successful team buy-in, and hopefully incredible successful associate success. I think one of my practices that I'm just really, really proud of within Dental A Teams Consulting is they were able to bring on 2 brand new straight out of school graduates. And they really were intentional about how they did it. They got the DNA right. They had a team buy-in of how we were going to do this. We set up the schedule appropriately. We figured out what this associate doctor needed. The associate doctors were mentored every single week. The hygiene team gave a lot of feedback. The dental assistant team gave a lot of feedback. And within 9 months, their associates were producing about $100,000 a month. And to me, that's an incredible success story of, we slowed down to speed up, and look at the success that they were having. So with that, I really hope that you guys are able to take this to implement, to get excited for it. And if you're onboarding soon or thinking about us, DM us or email us hello@thedentalateam.com for an onboarding checklist that we can share a sample of what this looks like. And always subscribe for more tips on leadership and success in your dental practice. This is truly what the Dental A Team does. And we help offices overcome these issues and overcome these struggle points to make it very successful for you and your team. So if that's helpful, reach out, hello@thedentalateam.com. And as always, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time on the Dental A Team podcast.